To sailing school this morning. Before we get out on the water, we're just going to do some safety lessons before we venture out onto the waters. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the dangers associated with sailing. So, does anyone have any ideas of some of the things that may pose a threat out on the water? Yes, Mitch.
Drowning without a life preserver?
Yes, we should always wear a life preserver out on the water, or else we'll drown. Does anyone else have any ideas as to some of the dangers? Yes, Sanjay.
Physical injury?
Physical injury. We could get hit in the head, we could twist an ankle, break any bones. That's important as well. One thing that is often overlooked, especially on Lake Erie, because it's warm, is that of hypothermia. So that's what today's lesson is going to be about. And we're going to go through 4 main points. We're going to figure out what is hypothermia, how to identify hypothermia, how to prevent hypothermia, and how to treat hypothermia when it happens. All right? So, the first thing, what is hypothermia? Does anyone have any ideas about what is hypothermia? Anyone? Yes?
It's when you shiver a lot.
When you shiver, why would you shiver?
You're getting really cold.
Yes, you're getting very cold. So the actual definition of hypothermia is that your core body temperature, so there's your little guy, your core body temperature gets below bodily function. So in your chest and your torso would actually decrease so much that you would start to lose mental abilities. So moving on to our next point is how to identify it. So you already said one point, which is shivering, but do you have any other things that we can figure out how to identify if someone has hypothermia? Yes, Mitch.
Blue lips, clamminess.
Blue lips, clamminess, yes. So we have shivering. Blue lips, clamminess, okay, that's associated with being able to see that someone's cold. Anything else we can think of?
Incoherence.
Incoherence, big word. And that would just be like we would
Mental
have
confusion.
mental confusion, spatial. All right. Anything else? When we're out on the water.
Not sure.
The only other thing that I would suggest is that of lack of muscle control and numbness in the extremities, like numbness in your hands and legs. So muscle control loss. Loss of feeling in hands and feet. Alright, so just to review, some of the symptoms of hypothermia to know if someone else has it or if you have it would be shivering, blue lips, mental confusion, muscle control loss, and loss of feeling in your hands and feet. So now that we know how to identify what is hypothermia and how we can see it in a person, we can move on to the brighter side of things, which is how to prevent it. So does anyone have something we can do to help prevent against hypothermia?
Dress properly.
Dressing properly, so clothing, that's number one. So, since you answered that question ever so nicely, you're going to be our example for this, and Mitch, Sanjay, and Brendan, you're going to help Robert determine which clothes to wear. So, I have an assortment of clothes here. You wake up in the morning, you look outside, it's cold, rainy, and very windy, and you got to go out and sail the World Championships, or go out and sail on the water, and you don't want to get cold, or if you fall overboard, have hypothermia. So here's a giant pile. I want you all to go through it and figure out some things. It looks like you're ready to go hit the water. You look like you're dressed somewhat appropriately. There are a few articles that you're wearing that you may want to reconsider a little bit. So it's good that you're wearing the splash top to help keep water off of you on the water, because water can cool you down. But this heavy cotton jacket is not really a good idea. I would recommend maybe the more polyester synthetic fiber, which would be less absorbent to the water. Also, you guys didn't choose for a base layer a nice dry wick t-shirt that would help keep the moisture inside of you and help keep you warm. Also, I like the hat. It keeps your head warm and overall helps your body temperature stay high. And also you chose some nice long johns. That would be good as a base layer, as well as some nice high socks, some wool socks. And so overall, you guys did a very good job. Dressing Bert looks like he's ready to go and would do a very good job, and hopefully not get hypothermia, especially if he switched to cotton. So just to review, some clothing on water. You can sit down, Bert. But keep your stuff on because we're going to need it in a sec. But some clothing to wear on the water. So like I said, no cotton. It absorbs water, so try and use polyester or wool. And also have water resistant stuff. So if you had splash pants, that would be also good. But the splash top is very good for the conditions. Tight clothing, so like the dry wick stuff that keeps your moisture in. And the other thing that we didn't have, unfortunately, today, but we all know we should wear it, is a life jacket. And the reason why we would wear a life jacket on the water to help prevent hypothermia, because if we do fall overboard, we're going to have to waste a lot of energy and heat treading water and keeping us above the surface. That could be conserved to help increase our body temperature. All right? Does everyone follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next part that we're going to be doing is how to treat hypothermia. So, in the unfortunate event that you do get hypothermia, we need to know what are some of the steps you take in order to get rid of it. Now, Bert, you're going to be the example again here, and you are going to pretend to get hypothermia, and you three guys are going to come and discover him. We have a numerous amount of articles you can use to help him get rid of his hypothermia, and you guys can choose which ones you would like to use on him, and we're just going to pretend that Bert is going to have hypothermia. So, Bert, begin to have hypothermia, get cold. Now, you guys can stand up, move around, just figure out which you're going to use. So, Brandon went for the blanket.
I want to get him out of the wind as soon as possible. Here we go, Bert.
So the two choices for drinks I have here is coffee and warm cocoa, and I think that the warm cocoa is the better choice.
And why did you choose that?
Maybe because the coffee can dehydrate you, so that might not be like the best choice. And you might be trying
Correct, the caffeine.
caffeine might not be
Good.
Lastly, we have 3 types of showers: a cold one, a medium lukewarm one, and a warm one. Well, a hot one. And I believe the lukewarm one's probably best, considering a temperature shock might be harsh on the body, as he's been from cold water to extremely warm water.
The other thing that he's not going to do, but you can do, is remove the clothes. So they will obviously be wet. So get rid of the clothes and get him into nice drier clothes, as they're just absorbing more heat from his body. So that's one, removing clothes. So now that you're cured, have another seat. Thank you, Bert. Remove clothes. And then you said that the blanket to protect from the wind and also keep his body heat in. So protection from the wind and elements. And also we got shelter. You should get off the water or go inside, get some shelter. And Sanjay, or Mitch, why did you choose the lukewarm shower as opposed to a hot shower?
I think the drastic temperature shock going from the frigid, cold Lake Erie waters to something much more like a warm, hot shower would be like just too much for his body. So perhaps a nice lukewarm would be a nice intermediary temperature to introduce him to warmer temperatures without hurting his body too much.
Right. The sudden jump can increase the blood flow, as well as he can also get burned if the water's too hot because he's numb and doesn't really air. And he can also, the sudden change will really alter his body and just not be good for him. And then the last thing would be a warm drink, not caffeine related, because that would be bad for his whole bodily function with the caffeine, really jumping him off. So we've covered all 4 topics of hypothermia. Number 1 being, what is hypothermia? So I'm going to ask if anyone can tell me a brief summary of what is hypothermia. Any takers?
It's your core temperature dropping in your middle section, section.
Right. So your core getting below the normal temperatures for a body.
Your body can normally function at.
Right. Good. And then we talked about how to identify hypothermia. So does anyone have any ideas of how we can identify? Yeah.
Shivering, muscle loss of control. Also being very lethargic and out of it.
Yeah, mentally not really feel there, and we said muscle weakness as well as numbness in the hands or legs. And then we discussed how we can prevent hypothermia. So can anyone run through some of the things we talked about how to prevent it?
Clothing would be important. You want to avoid
Clothing?
cottons
Yes.
and cover the head and feet.
Right? And what about non-clothing related? Can you remember the 3 things that we said at the bottom of the page? The bottom of the page?
A life preserver.
Bingo, biggest one. We always wear a life preserver here at sailing school, which is good. And also, what were the other 2 that I said? They were to make sure people know where you are, that you're out on the water. If you're going alone, but always try and go with a buddy or your coach. And the last one was how to treat hypothermia. So Bert was a great example of someone with hypothermia. And you guys had various props to choose. Chose the warm blanket because we wanted to get him away from the elements like the wind or the water and keep him warm. He would have removed his clothes, which you guys did do, which was fine, to get the cold clothes off of him. Also, we want to get him into shelter, get him off the water, and give him a lukewarm shower to kind of start to rise his temperature up, but not too much. And the last thing was if he's feeling a little thirsty, we could give him some warm beverage, but no, not caffeine related. So that sums up the hypothermia lesson today. I hope you guys learned some stuff and hope you all are ready to go out onto the water. Thank you very much. Boom.
Does it matter if we're done, right?
Yeah.
Or other person?
Sorry.
How long is that, Brendan?